having my cup of coffee. I hope you are too, unless you don't like coffee. I happen to love coffee in the morning, and I was talking to a friend at church yesterday, and we were talking about coffee. I had worked in upstate New York, the midnight to 8 shift, right? Working all night, and I never drank any coffee. I just never had a taste for it, didn't grow up drinking it. You know, when I was young, my parents didn't let me drink coffee, even though my dad and mom drank coffee, and my dad would gather around the kitchen table with his fellow police officers or people that would just stop in at the house because he was the chief of police in my little town, and they would have coffee. And of course, as a young kid, you want to have coffee too because all the big people are having coffee. And so I never had coffee. Then when I went to Los Angeles and joined the LA Sheriff's Department, it became a social thing. And I was working the night shift, and hey, let's meet for a cup to start the night. Well, you want to be accepted into the group. That's going to be part of the message today, right? You don't want to be cast out from the group. So, okay, let me have a cup of coffee, you know? And so then I got into it, and I go, wait a minute, I'm starting to like the taste of coffee. And so I got into drinking coffee, and now I have graduated into liking coffee to the extent that I drink it mostly black. Once in a while, I'll put a touch of heavy cream in it to kind of, you know, dissuade the appetite a little bit. So I'm into drinking coffee black because you can actually taste the coffee. And now you can try different coffees and find out, wow, you know what? Certain coffees I like, certain coffees I dislike. And it's not just, some people you see, right? You go into a Starbucks, you see that people are using coffee just as a carrier of their sugar and cream. I don't know if they ever really taste the coffee. All they have, they just load it. I've seen people just pouring like an unending, eternal spillage of sugar into their coffee. Listen, today I'm doing a podcast that I got excited. I'm watching Arthur Brooks, who actually is a professor at Harvard, and he has a class on happiness. And I talked in a recent podcast about a Harvard study about the development of the adult. And it's a study Harvard's been doing for 85 years. But we're going forward. Tim, thanks for joining. Tom, thanks for joining this morning. Cup of coffee to you this morning. But we're going to go forward today with one goal, and it's going to be wrapped around what my podcast is going to be about, which is going to be about care less. I could care less. You and I could probably all care less, right? We can care less. And I thought that was the goal. I've tried to have that goal. I want to get to the point where those people who, I don't give a shit what anybody thinks about me. I'm thinking, wow, if I can just get to that point where what people think or say doesn't bother me. But that's not the goal. And I learned that this morning. No, we want to care less. We want to turn that down, that sensitivity, what other people say or think about us. But we don't want to get to the point where we don't care at all. We just want to care less. That's going to be the goal. And there's ways of doing that. And one of those ways, we're going to go forward today doing that. I want you to do that with me. But as I look back, I see really how normal caring what people think about us really is. We're kind of pre-wired that way. If we look back on thousands of years where we wanted to be part of the tribe and not cast out, we wanted to be accepted by our tribe of people. People talk about, oh, that's my tribe. The tribe of people, of course, thousands of years ago was really the family structure, 30 to 50 people. That was the tribe that you didn't want to be cast out from. Now, because of technology and our culture today, like right now, me, right, broadcasting this live to the world, we open ourselves up to judgment from a tribe of millions, and that can be overwhelming. And that's one of the reasons why we have to turn down the caring meter. We want to care less. Caring less is going to empower us. We don't want to not care at all. People who have psychotic disorders, they don't care at all. They have no shame at all. They do things, they lie, cheat, and steal. They laugh it off. They don't care. That's not normal. We're normal that we care enough about what people think and say to a healthy extent. So we want to turn down that. We want to care less. Good morning, everybody. I got to acknowledge everybody chiming in. Tom, Bill, yay. Anna Ortiz, how are you? Right, if you care less, you wouldn't be alive. Okay, well, you're already at the point maybe where you need to be. No, I need to get to the point where I care less. All right, hey, maybe I need to model what you're thinking, doing, and saying. I can probably learn from you. I can always learn something from other people. But, here's what we're going to do today. Here's what we're going to go forward today. Anna, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go forward today. The rest of the day, let's go from, and listen, this really comes from, and it's not strictly Christian. Matthew says, do not judge lest you be judged. But that's not a strictly spiritual or Christian belief. It's also the Buddha. One of his sayings is, when you care what others think or judge about you, you become their prisoner. And we don't want to be anybody's prisoner. So we want to free ourselves. So when we stop judging, we slam the door on people's power over us in their judgment and opinion of us. But we want to care less, not care at all. And here's what we're going to do. Here's one of the ways we're going to do that today. Thanks for checking in. We are going to go from judgment to observation. Let's do that I'm going to do that the rest of the whole day. So when someone cuts you off in traffic, we're going to observe that. We're not going to, that son of a bitch he just cut me off in traffic. That stupid ass, what? We're going to go to observation. We're going to go from judgment to, oh, that's one of those cutter offers. Oh, they just cut me off in traffic. Hey, man, you know what I'm happy about? That car did not hit me. That car didn't hit me. What can I do right now to avoid getting hit by a cutter offer? I'm going to back off a little bit. I don't know what that car is going to do next, and I don't want to get in a traffic accident, so I'm going to back away a little bit. That's another way of doing it. Put that word on it. Put the word car on it instead of, look at that asshole cutting people off. Hey, I almost got hit by that car. Take the person out of it. That'll help us go from judgment to observation. That's really empowering, to go from judgment to observation. It's a way for us to care less. I get excited about this stuff, and I just was watching Arthur Brooks, and I talked about Arthur Brooks, who really has the class at Harvard about happiness. He's a professor there, and he studies happiness, how we can live a more happy life. And he often talks about that Harvard study where, after 85 years still going on, they've come to the conclusion, and the data supports, that happiness is really incumbent on our connected and deep relationships with other people. Not quantity, doesn't have to be a lot, but we need connected relationships with other people. It enhances our life. I got to acknowledge you. Yeah, I can do it. Thank you, my friend. You believe in me? I like it. I do care about that. We are wired to care a little bit about what people think and say about us, but we don't want that inhibiting what we need to be doing. You know what else I learned from Arthur today? I didn't know about this damn BIS and BAS, that we have this system in us. It's called the BIS system and the BAS system. Now, I've studied personal growth, self-improvement for years. I never heard about no BIS or BAS. And so I was studying Arthur Brooks, his latest podcast episode, BIS, our behavioral inhibition system. And that's operating all day, every day, together with BAS, our behavioral activation system. We got a BIS and a BAS going on. I'm going to study that. There's a paper on it. Why should we study? It's going to help us going forward. In most cases, we're going to find out, you know what, we're pretty damn normal. We're actually having proper thoughts, normal thoughts that have been wired into us for thousands of years. We're actually thinking the right way. But we can, now that we understand how our brain operates, how we can go forward better. I know I've done that over the past 30, 40 years. Wait a minute, I learned certain skills. It's enhanced my life. It's enhanced my relationships, which enhances our happiness, right? And that's been supported by this stupid damn study by Harvard, still going on today, 85 years. But I want to talk more about the BIS and the BAS. I'm going to look more into that. Let me know if you've heard of this BIS and BAS, Behavioral Inhibition System, Behavioral Activation System. An example would be, we're sitting at the corner, right? We're waiting to pull into traffic, right? And we're not. We're holding back as we observe. So the Behavioral Inhibition System says we're holding back. And BIS is also where we gather information. We're gathering data before we switch to the BAS. behavior activation system. So now we're sitting, waiting for traffic, and we're watching it go by, gathering data, information, and then we see a gap, and we realize it's safe now to pull into traffic. Thank you for subscribing. New subscribers, thank you. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, you're gonna love the place, you're gonna love the content. I'm shooting from the hip this morning, as you can tell, no teleprompter, no notes, nothing else but my thoughts to my mouth coming out to you for the only purpose of the gift of encouragement, because it bounces back to me. I'm talking right now about what I learned from Arthur Brooks, the professor at Harvard, studies happiness, teaches it, BIS and BAS, never heard of this damn system, behavioral inhibition system, behavioral activation system. And so now we switch from BIS, gathering data, traffic going by, gap, now we can take action, and we jump into traffic and we go on our way. And we're actually doing this all day long. He was talking about how, crazy thoughts will come into your head. Guess what? And you think, man, I'm an idiot for thinking, I wonder what happened if I slapped that person right in the back of the head. But then we don't do it. And then you have shameful thoughts. Think, why did I think that? That's really terrible. But you didn't do it because of your behavioral inhibition system, and you were gathering data. And those thoughts, those crazy thoughts that sometimes come into your head, I should slap that person in the back of the head. Guess what? Those are normal thoughts that all of us are having all day, every day. And so going forward, everybody, who else is checking? Traffic, yes, because you do the traffic. Hey, I do. You, hell yeah. Come on, let's make some coffee. I got strong coffee. I got the, I'll tell you what kind of coffee I drink. I'm gonna bring it over to you. I drink Cafe Bustelo. It's really an espresso grind. Cafe Bustelo. So I mean, boom, boom, one cup of that, stand by. You think I'm a little crazy? I'm a little vigorous in my energy? Well, you can blame the Cafe Bustelo. They are not a sponsor. I get no money from those people. All right, everybody, this is our... Oh, man, thank you very much. You appreciate my vibe. Now, even though I want to care less about what people think and judge of us, I'm talking about you and me together, hey, it's nice to get encouragement. That's one of the reasons why I like to go and encourage others, because of the gift that I've gotten from other people when they encourage me. And I think, wow, that really boosted me. That really made my day. There have been times doing my podcast on self-improvement, personal growth, that why am I doing this? Does this provide any value to other people? And if that happens, just when I get to that point, maybe it's divine intervention, thank you, God. People will send me a private message, they'll text me, or they'll leave a comment like you people have. Hey, listen, I really appreciate what you're putting out there. Hey, what you said yesterday really made a difference. I tried that. And so that really means a lot. Hey, new subscriber, thank you very much. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I know people are jumping in and out here when I'm in vertical mode live, because it shows up in the shorts feed, and then people who aren't already part of our community of progress, they say, hey, this might be a little bit interesting. Maybe I will subscribe to the channel. And if you don't already know it, it's free. And what it does is it supports the channel. And what YouTube does, not consciously, because they're not a conscious person, but the algorithm, the computer really is trying to show people information that they're interested in. And so what they realize, if people subscribe to a channel or an episode specifically, they say, hey, people are engaging with that episode. In other words, they liked it, they subscribed to that channel, that must have some value. I'm going to show it to more people who are interested in these kinds of things. Hey, thank you for, hey, oh man. I do like tea, and I should have more tea. I've been thinking about having tea at night. Does anybody out there have tea at night? Because I think it's going to help my sleep. Mistakenly, sometimes after my evening meal, I will say to myself, and I will do it, I think I'll have a cup of coffee after my meal. And then as I lay awake with random thoughts screaming through my head at 2 a.m., one of those thoughts is, damn it, I probably shouldn't have had that cup of coffee of Cafe Bustelo, the espresso blend that has now wired me up until 2 o'clock in the morning. But I know people have tea, and there are certain teas, right, that relax you. There was one tea that I used to drink that I know it's relaxing. So it's a way of having, well, I think there's something, the pleasure sometimes I think is just having a warm liquid, at night, and just the act of doing that. And so if I can switch from coffee to tea at night, coffee in the morning, tea at night, all right, I'm going to habituate that going forward. I'm going to do that for the next 10 days, and I'm going to see what kind of results I get from it. Another subscriber, thank you. If you haven't already, please smash the subscribe button. What does it do? It just tells YouTube to send this to more people. Let more people see this content, so it helps really expand the reach of the channel, which we're always trying to do, right? Become more. Not get more, become more. We're going forward. If you haven't already, subscribe. And guess what we're doing today? So that we care less, because we can care less. We don't want to stop caring. To care less, we're going to go from judgment today to observation. Somebody cuts us off in traffic, we're not going to say, you asshole. We're going to say, that car almost hit me. Thankfully, it did not. I'm going to go from judgment to observation, specifically for these people that I've been judging. These are the people. Listen, when you're at a light and you're making a left-hand turn, it's a green light and there's traffic coming at you. You're allowed and you're supposed to enter the intersection as far as you can until there's either a gap to go or the light turns yellow and then it turns red, then you can turn. You're not running the light. If you're already in the intersection, you're allowed to continue in your movement. So I notice people, I'm observing people. I'm going to go to observing and not judging. I'm observing people they stay back on the stop line, even though the light is green, and they could enter the intersection. And it's a large intersection. So actually, 2 or 3 of us could be in that intersection. So when the light turns, then we can make our turn. But I'm observing these people are holding back to the stop line, right? Until the light starts to turn, then they go, and the rest of us have not entered the intersection. So now we have to wait and go through the next cycle of the light. Isn't that nice? But I'm not going to think that's nice. I'm going to go from judging those people and yelling names at them to just observing. Oh, they don't know how to enter the intersection on the green to give us back here time so that we can enter the intersection and then we can make our turn. That's fascinating. Jim Rohn used to do that, a business strategist. The person that Tony Robbins originally worked for, can you imagine that? And I saw Jim Rohn, I actually met him, it's got to be almost 40 years ago now, but he would say when somebody does something like that, right, they cut you off in traffic, he said and what he was trying to say at the time was just observe, get out of judgment and get to observation. And he would say, when people cut you off in traffic, just recognize, oh, there's one of those cutter offers. Oh, there's one of them. They're out there. There's always going to be cutter offers. Just observe them. And then be fascinated by them. That was his word, right? Instead of being pissed off, be fascinated. Oh, wow, look at that person. Look at that vehicle just cut me off. That's fascinating. And it's got a way of going forward and having a better day. So we're going to go forward today, everybody, you and me. We're going to go from judgment to observation. One thing that we have to focus on today. That's it. And that's going to be part of the strategy of caring less, because we want to care less. We can care less. We don't want to stop caring altogether. That's crazy psychotic behavior. You can see people that do that. Those are people that also have shame. We also want to rebel against our shame. Listen, there's 3 strategies that I was learning this morning. It's going to be in the podcast today. If you haven't already, subscribed to the channel. Watch the podcast later this evening. It'll be out there on all the podcast channels. But it's also going to be right here on YouTube because I film it and you're going to love it. I command you. All right, everybody. I got to recognize you because I think it's important. You've taken the time to comment, and I appreciate that. Interacting with other people, even on a social media platform or like this, YouTube, it's important to interact. I have to acknowledge you and respond to you because you're important. Observe and don't comment. Yes. Hey, all right. Thank you, my brother, for saying that. I'm learning constantly every day. You would think, well, here's one thing I've learned. You never get to the point where we're done. This is a lifelong thing, constantly learning and changing and adjusting and becoming better and better every day in every way. We never get to the point, unfortunately. We never get to the point. All right, that's it. I'm done. Yeah, I learned everything. Hope you can join me. When you get to this point, it's going to be great. No, we have to be constantly learning. First of all, one thing that stays the same is that everything changes. So we have to keep learning, and we got to be flexible. Neuroplasticity, we got to be able to change with some of the times and what's going on. How about that example? Remember those guys in the 1-hour photo shops, right? You drop your film off, and 1 hour later, you go pick up your film. And then we have our digital cameras, and then we have the camera on our phones, and those people are out of business, right? Because they didn't change and evolve into anything different. You know, they just went forward thinking that things were going to stay the same. And sorry, but they're going to be on the street corner today. All right, everybody, you know I love you. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. More great content is coming your way. I promise you that. I will keep to doing that. But I'm going forward with the mission today, which is going from judgment to observation. That doesn't mean we accept what people do or say. It just means we're going to get out of judgment, because when we get out of judgment, we slam the door on caring too much what people say and their opinion of us. We want to care less. All right, see you in the next video.